Black Vampires. Immortal Dark by Tigest Girma has black vampires. And honestly, that's all you really need to know. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. I'm Danielle, and today I'll be walking you through how I do my reading journal spreads and my thoughts after finishing Immortal Dark. If you are interested in one of those or both of those, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and keep watching. In this story, we follow Dawn, who is going through it. Her sister has gone missing. She's being accused of murder, harassed by paparazzi, and she's just really not taking care of herself. To top it off, she's being sucked into a world she left behind when she was a kid and one she despises. Due to a sort of truce with the humans, vampires are bonded to particular families and houses, and they can only feed off members of those families, at least without consequences. It just so happens that not only is Dawn a part of one of these families, she's the heir to one, but she absolutely hates vampires and doesn't want any part of it. In order to find answers on where her sister is and to keep a vampire from claiming her inheritance, she must live in her family home and attend a university that teaches students, both human and vampire, their history and how to coexist. As you can see here, the first thing I do in my reading journal is go to the calendar and using my highlight tool, mark the days that I read the book and add in the title using my text tool. Now I'm going to this month's reads page where I'm splitting my screen with Safari, just using Google to search up the title so I can grab the cover image and just drag and drop it into my journal. It was the black vampires that really drew me in. I don't know what it is, but I just love reading about vampires. I have always enjoyed just watching things about vampires. I don't know, it's just my guilty pleasure, I guess. Because I already decorated the spread with frames, I'm going to use the arrange feature to send the cover image to the back so it kind of looks like it's actually in the frame. I didn't like the empty space on the bottom of the Polaroid frame, so I've been using it to write one word that pops in my head when I think about the book. I'm loving this, so I might include it in future months as well. Yes, when I think of Immortal Dark, exhausting is the word that comes to mind. I was just so drained being in Dawn's head. Some of the decisions she made and her thought process just made no sense to me. I feel like I was getting whiplash at times because she was all over the place. I really wish this had multiple POVs so I could get a break. I also think the story really would have benefited from having a POV from a vampire, so Cecilio, since he is the male main character. I don't know, but I needed a break from Dawn. While this story is definitely 4 stars for me, there were points when I didn't know if I was going to finish it. Do any of you push through stories because you want to love it so much and you're just waiting for the good parts to be worth it? No? Just me? Now, this isn't to say I was suffering through the entire book or hate reading it. There were aspects that I thoroughly enjoyed. Making sure I'm in read-only mode, I'm going to click on the book to take me to the corresponding review page. Doing the same thing I showed earlier, I'm going to split the screen to grab the cover image. I'm also going to save the cover to my photo so I can use it later. And of course, once I have my cover image added into the spread, I'm going to go ahead and find a frame for it. The only sticker set that I'm using for the spread is October's release, so the black frame that I'm going to use on here is from that sticker pack. As usual, I'll have it linked in the description, so if you're interested, I got you. I get a lot of people telling me they don't know where to start when it comes to their spreads, and I always recommend just starting with basics. So filling in the info. That's writing in the title, the author name, dates, adding in your summary, and your reviews. So back to my thoughts on Immortal Dark. I absolutely love the dark academia vibes. I really enjoyed being in class with them and reading about their study group sessions. I like some of the debates that they had. I thought it was also a really cool way of learning about the world. So it didn't really feel info dumpy to me because we were figuring out things as Dawn was, learning about the school and some of the rules. I like that aspect. It was also nice going along for the journey as they strive to pass their classes. The school itself and that atmosphere seemed really cool. I love the idea of a sentient house and it kind of having a mind of its own. I do wish that part was explored a little bit more. The magic of it all was explored a little bit more because I don't necessarily have a full grasp on that or even the bond between humans and these families and how that came about. So hopefully in book 2, we get to see a little bit more in that aspect. Now, the romance part of this book didn't work for me at all. I honestly did not care about it. And in my opinion, Cecilios deserves better. And it wasn't even necessarily because I loved his character. It was just more so I didn't much like Dawn's character and it just didn't mesh well. Hear me when I say I love me an enemies to lovers trope, especially when they are actively trying to unalive one another. The journey from point A to point B has to be cohesive and believable. Like it has to make sense. And it just wasn't doing that for me in this one. Dawn just did way too much. And Cecilios post, he needed to hold more of a grudge. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm probably biased once again because I just really didn't mesh well with Kidan, but the romance I really could have just done without. If you read it, let me know in the comments your thoughts on how this romance is unfolded. Now, they aren't in a relationship in this book. Things happen that's pointing in that direction, so maybe it'll start to connect for me in the next one. But most of the time, I just get the summary from the book's Amazon description and just copy and paste it into my journal. I can barely string together two coherent sentences when I'm writing my review most of the time, so I'm not about to be fighting with trying to sum this book up. When pasting from some websites, the font won't automatically change to the one that you're currently using, so you're just going to highlight everything and then change the font. The longer I sit with this book, I kind of want to adjust my rating, maybe to a 3.5 or 3-star rating. It is by no means a bad book. Character development is just really huge for me. Even if I dislike a character, understanding their motives and the way that they move is important. It just felt a little immature for me at times. Like, I understood that Kidan was going through so much, and she should definitely be emotional, and I can understand reacting off her emotions. The thing that I can't really get behind is just never learning or even stopping to put two and two together. Like, I get being impulsive, but at some time, especially when things just constantly go wrong, when do you just sit down and be like, let me take a step back for a second. Let me try something new for a second. An easy way to spruce up your spread is to use either your pen tool or your shapes tool. I like to add color using my shapes tool to just outline some of the things after I've already filled it in. As much as I love annotating, I refuse to do so in my books with sprayed edges. I just can't abide by tabs sticking out, interrupting something so pretty. So when a quote stands out, I write it in my favorite quotes templates in my journal. But as you can see, I don't do that very often, but I at least got one. So I just copy and pasted from that template onto my current spread. I usually only use about 1 or 2 quotes, but adding more and highlighting them is another way to bring your spread to life. When I'm finding images, I usually just use Google or Pinterest. You can also do a deep dive and look at the author's socials or websites for some fan art or their visions for their characters. One of the authors that I read recently, she actually had a Pinterest board that I referenced. One thing I want to emphasize is that your spread and the images you choose doesn't have to make sense or have any rhyme or reason to anyone but you. The beauty of using images in your journal is for it to represent what you took away from the book and how you envision things as you were reading it. I will eat up a description of a setting always. Let me know where we are. Describe the world. I want to know the weather. I want to know all of that. But I'm going to immediately forget character descriptions every single time. So I just go ahead and I choose what I like. You can drag and drop images directly from the Pinterest website, but I prefer saving them to my photos to remove the background. You can also easily do this using a crop feature, but as a personal preference, I just like the long codes and dragging and dropping to easily take out the background, as you can see I'm doing here. When adding images, don't worry about trying to find ones that represent every single thing that happens in the book or the book as a whole. Instead, focus on the ones that show off your favorite characters or standout moments, anything that you want a visual representation and reminder of. I love me a busy spread. Now, sometimes I do go a little bit overboard and I gotta go in later and delete some things. With that being said, add as many or as little digital stickers, images, outlines, color as you want. Finding your style is really dependent on trial and error. It's my favorite thing about going digital. Mistakes are easily corrected with no trace left behind. Redoing something is easy. Starting over is easy. Adding or taking away is easy. So just have fun. Don't overthink your spreads. Okay, I know I talked a lot of crap, but I did enjoy Immortal Dark. This was a good setup book, and that ending had me wanting book 2 immediately. I'm interested to see how everything plays out, interested in learning more about the house and the new characters introduced, and exploring more of the school. I also really love the underlying questions of who are the real monsters in this world? Humans or vampires? Or are they more alike than they want to admit? If you like dark academia, fantasy, vampires, a bit of mystery, some vibes, and you don't mind a frustrating main character, I do recommend picking this one up. Now I'm just going to add some finishing touches to my spread using my shapes tool to add some outlines and digital stickers to create a border. I'm not sure what it is, but I've really been into creating borders for my spreads lately, and if it doesn't have it, it kind of feels like something is missing. Now I will admit that looking at it now, Now, I'm not completely sure about this border. It feels a little bit overwhelming with those little drippy things. So I do think I might go in with just a plain black sticker to create the border. But this is the spread. Let me know your thoughts, but not too much because it's my journal and it only has to be liked by me. Now from here, I'm actually just going to go to my home page, go to my bookshelf to color in the book to add in Immortal Dark. I'm just going to use my shapes tool for this for the outline. Then I use my pen tool to color it in. Then I'm just going to go ahead and add the title and the author's name. And that's pretty much it. If you're coloring in your book and it disappears, it's probably because you have the scribble to erase feature on. Just hitting the back button will bring it back up. But if it really annoys you, you do have the option to go ahead and turn scribble to erase off. I'm just using my text box to type in the title and the author's name. The font I've been using throughout this video is called Aromatic Dream Demo. I use the app iFont and use the defont.com option. To change the color and resize my text boxes, I use my lasso tool to circle the text, gently tap so the menu pops up, and choose the colored circle to change that and the square to resize. The lasso menu has changed a little bit. Every once in a while, I like taking some part of a book's cover and adding it into my bookshelf. I don't do it often because there's already a little lag when the bookshelf loads because of how much coloring and text that I have. If you're interested in all things planning, reading, and the tech that allows us to do both, please go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. All right now, bye.